Hello there, this is Kate from Make with Kate. I've been asked by Carer Support East Kent to demonstrate a recipe to help celebrate 20 years of supporting care. And the theme for August is orangutans. And as they are orange, I've decided to make something orange. So today I'm going to make a carrot, orange and ginger soup inspired by the Riverford organic recipe. So let's get started. So when I start preparing for any recipe, I always find that I enjoy cooking so much more when I do all the prep right at the beginning. So I get everything weighed or everything chopped up right at the beginning. So that's what I'm going to start with. Okay, so we've got, first of all, we need to chop the onion. Everyone has their own way of chopping onions, and this is my way, and it's the way I teach it. I always chop the onion in half first before peeling, and I have a little bowl on the side to collect any of the peel that I don't want to include in my recipe. And I chop the pointy end off. That's the shoot that grows up through the ground. I chop that off first as well, so that can come off both sides. And at that point, I find it easier to start peeling because there's some loose edges on the peel that I can grab hold of with my thumbnail, and that's why I do it in that order. So I chop it in half first and then I peel it. And I always leave the root end on, the hairy root here, because it helps to hold the onion together when you're dicing it. There we go. Much easier to get the peel off when it's been sliced in half first. Okay. And the next thing I do is I make a bridge shape with my hand, and I slice down towards the root, probably about 8 times. And as you'll see, the root has held my onion together, so it's made it a bit easier for me to hold it. And then I change my hand to a claw grip and I just dice across, and you end up with nice evenly sized pieces of onion. That's my way of chopping onions. Okay. Okay, so my onion's ready. And next I need to do about 5 or 6 carrots, more if you've got more. Adjust it if you've got really big carrots or really small carrots. So 5 or 6 is a good number. I'm sure you don't want to watch me chop 5 or 6 carrots, so I have already pre-chopped some of them. And I've just got one here which I'm going to do now. So if your carrots are organic, you can just give them a good scrub and chop the ends off and then start slicing. If they're not organic, I would advise peeling them. So I've just taken both ends off, and then I'm just going to peel my carrot, and then I'm going to chop it up into small sized pieces, and trying to aim for them to all be the same, roughly the same size. So I like to chop my carrot in half lengthways, and then I do that a few times until I have carrot sticks. There we go. And then I line them all up and chop them all across at the same time, makes it a lot quicker, holding them together with my hand. There we go. Okay, and the next job is to grate the ginger. I'm just going to go and get my ginger. I keep my ginger in the freezer, and I'll explain why in a minute. Okay, so I buy the ginger fresh like this. You can get it you can get it dried as well if you don't want to buy it fresh. But I buy it fresh and I stick it, break it up into chunks like this because it can be rather large. And then I put them all in a pot in the freezer and I keep them there. And I just find it easier to grab a bit from the freezer, grate what I need, and then put the rest back in the freezer. It minimises waste, but it also just means your ginger's ready to go whenever you want it to be. And it's actually, because it's harder being frozen, I find it a lot easier to grate. And I leave the skin on. Some people peel it off. That's a personal choice. So here we are. So let's find a good edge to start with. Ginger's got a lovely kind of spicy but refreshing aroma and flavour, and it can take the where carrots are quite sweet, it can kind of give an edge to the flavouring. So that's why I think it's really lovely in this recipe. It's lovely in curries as well. It says about a centimetre on the recipe. So you're imagining you're taking a centimetre thickness off of the ginger. Okay, right, I think that'll be about enough. So obviously there'll be some bits stuck inside my grater as well. So I'll just slide my knife around on the inside and scrape down the bits that are caught inside. Okay, and last thing to prepare is the orange. So we're going to need, again, this is a choice thing. You're going to need at least half an orange, but it could be up to 2 oranges, depending on how many carrots you've used and how much you want the orange flavour to shine through in your soup. This is quite a large orange. I'm going to use half today. So I'm going to start by chopping my orange in half. And I've got a little jug here ready, and just catching the juice in the jug, and I'm going to save that right to the end. The orange doesn't need to be cooked, it's just going to be stirred through the hot soup at the end, so you can do a little bit of a taste as you add it. In fact, I might juice my whole orange and then I can just do a little taste at the end to see how much orange I want in there, to check I've got a good balance of flavours. Everyone's different, and the great thing about cooking your own recipes is that you are in control completely of the flavours and the ingredients, and you can just do it completely to taste. So you can do it according to who's going to eat your soup that day. And the other great thing is, if you wanted to make an even bigger batch, you could just double up or triple the ingredients on the recipe, and you could maybe freeze some, or you could make some at the beginning of the week, keep it in the fridge, and bring a flask of soup in each day for your lunch, for a really healthy, easy, no nonsense, no fuss lunch. Okay, so we've prepped all of our ingredients. I'm now going to soften my onions in the frying pan. So I'll turn this on. You can use any vegetable oil. I'm using rapeseed oil, based in Kent. We grow a lot of rapeseed in Kent, and I just really love the colour, and I really like the flavour as well. So this is my preferred oil. There we go. Okay. So I'm just warming up the oil, and we're going to soften the onions. Probably for about 5 minutes. You'll know when the onions are ready. There we go. Okay. So we're just going to let those sizzle gently away until they're soft. So again, I've sliced up my onions quite finely. Some people like really smooth soup, so you can blend that with a hand blender, like this one, at the end. So you can just whiz that into your saucepan and blend it. Some people like to keep it watery with the lumps of the vegetables in, so you can see what you're eating. And again, that's absolutely fine. But I think it is important that all your lumps of carrot are the same, roughly the same size, and your onion is chopped nice and finely. I'm getting a nice smell here from the onions. Okay, so when your onions have been sizzling away for about 5 minutes and they're translucent and they're soft and you can smell the lovely aroma of them cooking, you can add your other fresh ingredients. So we're going to add the carrots and the ginger, not the orange juice at this stage, or the parsley. Carrots. Oh, and that is really starting to smell absolutely lovely. So while you're just letting them soften in the saucepan, you could boil your kettle and make up some stock. So you may have already some vegetable stock you've made yourself, or you might have a stock cube. I'm using a stock cube today. So I'll boil my kettle up, sprinkle my stock cube into a jug, and then just give it a little stir to make sure it's all dissolved well. And I'm going to give my carrots and my onions a little bit of a stir, and ginger. They don't need frying for very long, to be honest. After the onions have had their softening time, the carrots don't need very long. Okay, so I'm going to now add my stock to the saucepan, and I'm going to let it start to bubble and boil. So I've got my hob on fairly high at the moment, and I'm just waiting to see it start to bubble. And once it starts to bubble, you can put the lid on and then turn the hob down, and so that it's very gently bubbling and simmering. And we're going to leave it cooking like that for about 20 minutes. What we want is for the carrot to cook fully so that it's lovely and soft, and we want the flavours to all merge together and add to the flavour. Okay, it's starting to bubble now in here. So I'm going to add my lid onto my saucepan, because I don't want the liquid as it's bubbling to all evaporate, because I would end up with a really thick sauce rather than a soup. So I'm keeping the moisture in there with my lid. And then when I'm happy that it's boiling, I'm going to turn it down. And I'm just going to let it gently simmer. Okay, so when you make and serve soup, it's really nice to have an accompaniment with it, such as bread. I'm going to make some croutons today, which is a really easy, great way to add another texture to your soup, but also to use up any last bits of slices and crusts that no one wants, so they don't get wasted. So I've got some two slices of bread here. Okay, and I've actually got some here that I made another time, and I had slightly too many, so I've just stored them in a jam jar, and then I can just add them to salads and soups or whatever. They're just ready to go, and they last for ages. Okay, so I've got 2 slices of bread. What I'm going to do is I'm going to chop them into evenly sized squares. You can use a bread knife to do this, but I find it really easy just to use a pair of scissors. I'm going through both slices at the same time, being really lazy. There we go. You can, there's lots of different ways of cooking croutons. You could fry them, grill them, oven bake them. You could make toast and then cut it up into cubes. Today I'm going to oven bake them. So again, you could make these a completely separate time, maybe when you've got something else in the oven, so that you don't have to turn the oven on, especially for your croutons. And it's just a great way of using up odds and ends of bread. And now you could put them all in a big bowl and stir them together, or you could put them into an old sandwich bag or an old cereal bag, and that's what I'm going to do, just to get the oil distributed nicely when I add it, which will make these lovely and crunchy, and it will also add to the flavour and the colour of them. Okay, so I've got a little bag here. Okay, and in my bag, I'm going to add a spoonful of oil. Again, I'm using the rapeseed oil, but you could use olive oil, sunflower oil. If you wanted to add a bit of flavour, you could add sesame oil or chili oil or another flavour infused oil. I'm going to add the rapeseed oil, which I hope, look at that lovely colour, I hope will add a really nice yellow colour to my croutons. And I'm going to add some dried mixed herbs. Again, you could add whichever herbs you want, or you could add chili flakes. And chili goes really nicely in the carrot soup, actually. I'm just going to massage the bag a little bit to distribute the oil and the herbs. And they don't take long to cook in the oven, 5 minutes, just until they're crunchy and crispy, really. Okay, right, so this can now be turned out onto a baking tray. And I can just spread it out so they're not all touching each other. And I really like to add a little bit of salt and pepper at this stage, which again is completely up to you. A little bit of flavour. And they are ready to go in the oven. I'm just going to check on my soup here, check it's bubbling away nicely. Yeah, it smells really nice. Okay, so my soup is not going to be ready anytime soon. It's got another 15 minutes or so of simmering to do. But when your soup is ready, you'll be able to just taste a little bit. You can add a knife or a fork in there to pick up one of the pieces of carrot and check that they're soft, so that they drop off the fork nicely. When they are soft, it's time then to blend your soup. So I recommend a stick blender like this, but you can equally do it in a food processor. You just need to be careful, especially if you're using a stick blender, of the hot water splashing up as you do it. And also when you're transferring the hot liquid into a food processor, again, you'd want to be really careful. So let's turn that down. So you would just, I keep mine in my saucepan, and you would just add your blender into your saucepan like this, and then turn it on to blend your soup. Now mine isn't quite ready yet, so I'm not going to blend it fully. And likewise, if you don't want to blend it, that's not a problem. Some people prefer to have the lumpy, watery soup, and that is just a personal choice. And once you've got a lovely smooth soup, I would have a taste of it, see how you feel. Add a little bit of your orange juice, stir it through, another taste, and check that you're happy. You may want to season it and add some salt and pepper. And when you serve your soup, it's really lovely to get some crème fraiche or double cream or some natural yogurt, which is my preference, and just drizzle or drip the yogurt round, and maybe even give it one little stir so you've got a lovely white swirl, creamy white swirl. And then some lovely fresh herbs like coriander, which goes really well if you like coriander, on your soup. Or here we have some flat leaf parsley. So I'm just going to, in fact, I might do this with scissors. You can do it with a knife or scissors. I'm just going to loosely chop my parsley. Like that. And then that is ready just to sprinkle on. What I would do is serve my soup into individual bowls and then just sprinkle the parsley on top, just as a lovely finishing touch to the soup. So thank you so much for listening. I hope you enjoy making the recipe. And happy August.